Let's talk much more about this. Let's hear what Muslims already living here in the United States think about Donald Trump in this latest controversy. Taib Rashid, he is a Marine veteran. He moved to the United States from Pakistan with his family when he was just 10. And as I said, he served in the U.S. Marines for 5 years in active duty. And Daisy Khan, she is the executive director of the Women's Islamic Initiative in Spirituality and Equality. Thank you both very much for joining me. Daisy, I think you both have probably had the opportunity to not just listen to what Trump said last night, but also the opportunity when he really doubled down on it, speaking to CNN this morning. What was your first reaction when you heard this from Donald Trump?
Well, my first reaction was I was outraged by what he was saying because, you know, he's going against the very principles that uphold America, which is, first of all, he is talking about dividing the nation. He's playing on the fears of many people. And we are the United States of America, not the divided states of America. So, but at a personal level, what he's talking about is that my parents, who are, 80 years old and 76 years old, are planning to come to the United States next year to, to reunify with their children here and to see their grandchildren. Those are the people that would be barred from,
they won't be able to come.
This preposterous kind of claim that he's making. And then what is he really trying to say? I mean, there are like 6 to 8 million Muslims in this country. They all have families that come to visit them. And so are we trying to bar all those people? What we need is a much better vetting process, so we can actually see who wants to do us harm, and that is what our focus should be. Not.
And Sergeant, to Daisy's point, what Donald Trump says and would say over and over again is until that vetting process is good enough for his standards, as he said, until we know what the hell is going on, then no one should be able to enter. You have a very unique perspective on this. You've already taken Trump on before when he spoke out supportively of a national database of Muslims. Your response to him blew up on social media. As a service member, you put up a card and said, "Here's my card already." So what do you say to Donald Trump this time, Sergeant?
Well, Kate, first of all, thank you very much for having me. My response to Mr. Trump would be to remind him that really, the United States is a nation of immigrants. We have people from all walks of life, from all over the world, and it is this unique strength of America that we're a melting pot where we can bring different ideas together and create what is a beautiful nation. Now, speaking on behalf of Muslims have existed as part of the fabric of American society for hundreds of years. The Ahmadiyya Muslim community, for example, Muslims who believe in the Messiah, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian, to which I belong, was established in the United States in 1921. We are, productive members of society. We served in the armed forces. We are loyal to this country. We've had Muslims for Peace, Muslims for Loyalty campaigns, and it is that dialogue and that productive, communication with people to drive out misconception, to drive out fear, that is going to really help us and really allow us to battle terrorism. These kind of extremist ideas only perpetuate the hate and will actually make America a more vulnerable versus less. So
And I want to ask you about just that, Sergeant, especially from your perspective. You're a Marine. You have served this country. You know other service members who are still serving in active duty, likely overseas. Well, we can know right now that this policy is not in place, would likely require an act of Congress, and very likely would never go into place. But the fact that these words were uttered by the front runner in the Republican side of this presidential race, the man who wants to be president, who could be president of the United States, what is the impact on service members, U.S. service members right now serving overseas? Does this make their job more difficult?
Absolutely. Again, I talked about this last time. I think, when he makes comments like this, it divides our community, it divides our country, and I would say it definitely has the potential of dividing our armed forces. And so that is not strengthening America, that's actually weakening it. And so my advice to Mr. Trump, and especially my appeal to all of his followers, is that go out and meet a Muslim, meet a real Muslim who, by our faith, we are commanded to be loyal to the nation. Yes, there are extremists. Yes, we have to fight extremism. But the way to fight extremism is not through policies that are extremist themselves. We have to find a middle ground, and we have to open up the channels of dialogue, which is precisely what the Ahmadiyya Muslim community is trying to do.
And when you say, you know, you talk about that fear, the fear and the reaction is exactly what many say would feed into what ISIS terrorists want. They want an apocalyptic war. That's what they say could be coming. Daisy, let me ask you this. Trump says that this isn't forever. This is temporary. He says this also is not internment camps. He says this is a temporary measure in the face of the growing threat of terrorism coming after in the aftermath of San Bernardino. Listen to what some Trump supporters said yesterday.
That's a very prudent idea, and I think that he's done due diligence when he makes that statement. We have to protect our American citizens first, and the vetting process and the whole program lacks integrity.
Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do.
Why?
I don't want them here.
Trump's not just speaking to Trump. Trump is speaking to a segment of the population. Daisy, what do you say to that?
Well, it's clear that people are fearful, you know, so what is needed now is that people need to understand that the Muslim community is probably the best asset that the U.S. has to fight against extremism from within the community. First of all, this call that we should ban all people from coming into this country doesn't make any sense because the person who committed this act was born in the United States.
Born in Illinois.
Born and raised here. So how do you, you know, how does it help?
It would not have stopped him from being
coming.
Here.
So what is really needed is what the president said, that we need to work more closely with the Muslim community because we are the best asset that the U.S. has. We have roots in all over the Muslim communities worldwide, but we also understand the values of America, and we can be interlocutors for that. We can, you know, we can educate our community against the dangers of the recruiters because the recruiters are preying on the sentiment that some people may have, a sentiment of alienation, and that work can only be done by the Muslim community. And so we need to work together hand in hand. Across party lines, across religions, Americans coming together, Muslims and non-Muslims, to fight this.
I also think it would be interesting if you extended an invitation to Donald Trump to come meet with your group, WISE, if he would come, and what kind of fruitful conversation you could have there and talk to inform him of
He could use some wisdom, actually.
Thank you so much. Daisy, it's very nice to meet you. Thank you. And Sergeant, thank you so much. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kate.
Of course.